This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Osborne, and today's Sunday, April 24th. Let's check in with meteorologist Arden Gregory for a look at your forecast this morning. If you're heading out to church this morning, I would suggest putting on a jacket because it was cold.
Yes, it is rather chilly this morning. As we go through the rest of the day, we're going to warm up rather nicely, but to start off, it is pretty chilly and a lot of fog across eastern Kentucky this morning. A lot of places dealing with rather dense fog. In fact, satellite and radar showing that we are nice and dry across eastern Kentucky, but actually, if you look very closely, you can see where these dark patches are popping up. That's actually the fog showing up on our satellites. And like I mentioned, some of that fog is actually rather dense. Harlan and Middlesboro both dealing with very dense fog this morning. Paintsville, visibility down to a quarter mile there. Monticello and Somerset, visibility down to 3 miles. So if you are headed out this morning, take it a little bit slower as you may run into some fog. Temperatures, like Lauren mentioned, it's a little bit chilly out there this morning. Many of us starting out in the lower 40s, a couple of upper 40s, but as we go through the rest of the day, we are actually going to warm up quite nicely. So if you're headed out this morning, if you're headed out early, definitely going to want to grab that jacket as temperatures are still in the 40s across eastern Kentucky. And be careful as we do have areas of fog, some rather dense fog. But this afternoon, the fog will clear out, see nice sunny skies, warm temperatures topping out in the lower 80s. And I'll have all the details on what you can expect for the rest of this week coming up in just a few minutes, Lauren.
Thank you. 2 people are dead and 2 others are seriously injured following a crash in Clay County. We're told it happened yesterday afternoon on the Hal Rogers Parkway near Manchester. Kentucky State Police say 2 cars were involved. 1 person died at the scene and 3 others were airlifted to different hospitals. We're told 1 has since died in the hospital. We don't know their names or the other 2 people's conditions. The highway was shut down for a while but has since been reopened. Firefighters battled a house fire in Chavies early this morning. Whoever lived there had recently moved, so no one was in the home when the fire started. The cause of the fire is unknown at this time. Crews battled a fire in downtown Cumberland last night. It started around 7 yesterday evening on Main Street. City officials tell us it started in the old George's department store building. This is eyewitness video shot by David C. Dixon as crews continue to battle the flames. Police say there were several apartments on the 2nd floor of the building that were occupied when the fire started, but that everyone got out safely. We're told the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Wayne County officials have arrested a man for murder after a body was found at the bottom of a well on Friday. Sheriff's deputies arrested 29-year-old Joseph Jones yesterday morning after officials found the body of his wife, 28-year-old Rachel Jones, 20 feet underground. Police say they were told about human remains in the well early Friday morning and discovered the remains after responding to the well off Tobar Road east of Monticello. Officials do not know when Rachel Jones was put in the well. An autopsy was scheduled for yesterday, but details on how she died has not been released. It's been a tough 5 months for the family of a fallen Richmond police officer. Officer Daniel Ellis was shot and killed during a robbery investigation back in November. While nothing can replace him, the community has stepped up to support the Ellis family. And last night, the community teamed up with a popular talk show host to surprise Katie and Luke Ellis. Caitlin Setner has more.
Daniel's the father.
Yeah. Oh,
Luke is the son.
Right. Oh, okay. There you go. Well, good. Now I know. It's
That's
like
right.
a comedy routine.
That's
I said,
right.
what's the little boy's name?
name?
Daniel. No, it's
I
Luke.
did.
Yeah,
Jay Leno was in Richmond Saturday night joking around with Father Jim like they were old friends. The night of laughter, a great time for Katie Ellis, wife of fallen police officer Daniel Ellis.
It's bittersweet. You know, I'd rather just be sitting at home on my couch with Daniel. But that can't happen, so I feel like the community is really kind of healing with me.
Evening Among Friends on its last year benefits the St. Mark Church and School, as well as the Officer Daniel Ellis Memorial Foundation.
You know, everybody thinks the world is such a terrible place, but there are more good people than there are bad people. You only hear about the bad people. You know, it's like this police officer that was killed on line of duty. He was a good man.
You know, the whole incident started at St. Mark. Our kindergarten teacher was robbed by that individual, that assailant. Daniel, Officer Ellis, was coming to assist us.
What's in the box first?
behalf of my mother, my brothers and sisters, and myself, we're sending you and Luke to Disney World.
Now, that vacation wasn't the only surprise Katie Ellis got Saturday night. Jay Leno had a $10,000 donation to put in her son's college fund.
I'd like to see him go to college. You know, police officers don't make enough money anyway, and when you lose the breadwinner in the family, it's the saddest thing in the world.
It is very surreal. We're just regular people that have unfortunately been put in this position, and we lost Daniel, and we're very honored that someone like Jay Leno would care. Just a little, you know, it means the world.
Ellis says she can't thank the community enough for all the support and a night full of surprises and laughter with Leno. In Richmond, Caitlin Setner.
Last night's event was sold out. 500 people were there. One woman went to jail after 3 others were sent to the hospital on Thursday night. They say 45-year-old Michelle Jones of Corbin was driving when she crossed the center line and crashed into another vehicle. Emergency officials transported 3 out of the 4 passengers in the other vehicle to the hospital. We're told that they suffered various injuries. Officials say they later found Jones to be under the influence. She is now in the Laurel County Detention Center. Before you prank call the cops, think again. Laurel County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man Friday night after they say he harassed and threatened 911 dispatchers. Dispatchers say 54-year-old Charles Smith of London called their emergency lines. Deputies were able to pinpoint Smith's location from the cell phone he was making the calls on. When they found him, officials say he was drunk. They charged him with terroristic threatening and alcohol intoxication, among other things. He is now in the Laurel County Detention Center. Republicans are in Lexington nominating delegates for the national convention. Those delegates will help determine the party's presidential candidate. Sabira Rayford was at the downtown state convention in Lexington.
Whoever they decide, I will back.
Kenton County Sheriff Charles Corzenborn says he's at his breaking point with the lack of unification in the Republican Party.
I'm going to be perfectly frank. If we have a Democrat, who other Democrats are running right now, we're going to have a Supreme Court that is so far to the left that I will probably wind up in prison because I won't tolerate a federal agency coming into my county taking liberties away from my constituents.
All day long, Kentucky Republicans voiced their opinions on the state of their party. But Heather Mason McGuire says it's going to take a little less talking and a little more listening to beat the Democrats.
Our biggest challenge for coming together is not bickering with one another.
Some in this room are here for Trump. Others are here for Cruiser Kasich. Regardless the candidate, Kentucky Republicans want to keep a unified front.
One thing I want to assure you, there isn't any sort of insider effort that could go on to keep this from being anything other than a pretty open and transparent process. I'm always amused by the suggestions that there's some kind of group that can deliver the nomination. Let me say, if there were such a group, I'd probably be in it, right?
But Governor Matt Bevin had a different outlook.
And I challenge those of you who become the delegates, it would seem increasingly likely that there will be what is known as an open convention. That is a very distinct possibility.
Governor Bevin says the selected delegates should support a consistent candidate.
But I would encourage those of you who will have that ability, who will have that authority, to think about this. All that glitters is not gold.
In Lexington, Sabir Rayford, WKYT.
25 delegates were selected to head to the national convention in Cleveland this summer. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, hop on. We're taking you for a spin on the Red Bud bike race from Laurel County. And later in sports, a doubleheader on the Diamond after a rainout Thursday. Kentucky and Arkansas played 2 at Cliff Hagan Stadium in Lexington.
And a beautiful day to close out your weekend, but rain returns to the forecast later this week. I'll have all the details next.